right, so my presentations, the first question is, should pitchers sprint? All right, and this is going to be about the importance of max velocity sprinting for pitchers. So first I want to talk about delivery, right? So there's certain things we need in delivery to optimize efficiency. So one, there needs to be a level of balance, right, we can agree on. There needs to be a level of coordination and sequence. Okay, there needs to be a relaxation throughout the motion too, right? Also, we need intent to throw the ball hard, right? We need to create a development of intent to throw the ball 95 plus miles an hour. So moving on to the sprint, you're going to see these things are very, very similar, right? The muscle sprinting, so there needs to be a level of balance as well. Level of coordination and sequence, right, we can agree on. Also, there needs to be a relaxation throughout the sprints from start to finish, right? If you tense up, transfer force isn't going to be as efficient, right? We're going to run slower. All right, after that, we need the level of intent needs to be heightened in order to run fast. All right, same thing with pitching. There needs to be an intent to run hard, run fast. So I'm going to dive into like the why. So I recently researched a blog post from Zach Bacon, and he came up with these 5 reasons why pitchers should maximally sprint. And I love the 5 reasons, right? So the first reason is the effect on the neuromuscular system. Right, the second is the stiffness and reactivity component that comes with it. 3, the velocity aspect of sprinting. 4, the effects on the posterior chain. And 5, the athleticism component as well. So reason number 1, the neuromuscular system. Right, as we know, the CNS is the motor to the body. Right, the baseball pitch is an intensive single event that requires high levels of speed, power, explosiveness. So having the CNS prepared is crucial to the pitch. A highly developed CNS needs to be the ultimate goal, and that's where max velocity sprinting plays its role. Speed training helps with intramuscular coordination. Rate coding, it also helps build a more efficient nervous system. So building a bigger motor, right, in the body helps create bigger outputs in power, strength, reactivity, and explosiveness. So as we can see, sprinting is the number one way to develop that motor at its highest potential. So I wanted to input some videos as well so we can see exactly what I was talking about, right? So some of the drills that we can use to build that motor is 1, we can use build-ups. 2, we can use flying sprints. 3, we can use sled resistant sprints. And 4, we could do just sprints for distance. So the first video I got here is one of the athletes I used to train performing a build-up, right? So he's building up for 30 yards. Once he hits that 30-yard mark, right, he's trying to run as fast as he can for 30 yards as well. So just the intensity of it is very, very high, right? So that quick motor that we want to turn on at any split second. And then here's another athlete that trained at the other spot, just performing a weight sled sprint. So the intent that it takes to move that sled, you can see is very, very high. We're just building that motor that we need to throw the ball 95 plus. Next thing is the stiffness and reactivity portion of the sprint. Right, so stiffness is defined as the tendon's resistance to change length when force is applied. Right, a stiffer tendon equals greater transfer of force. Max velocity sprinting teaches our tendons great levels of stiffness because of the forces that are being applied through the ground and the kinetic chain. Without the optimal stiffness of the lower limb, when striking the ground, the use of the stretch reflex, which stretch working cycle, would become inefficient. While sprinting, the ankle, knee, and hip need to become stiff for the proper energy transfers to occur. If not, we'll not be running at our fullest potential. Right, this would be a great indication of if we think about getting to like front foot strike in a pitch. Right, if that stiffness isn't there, you're not going to transfer any force at all. So continuing on with that, right, stiffness plays a huge role in the reactivity component as well. If this capability of stiffness is not trained, there's no way for the muscle to contract, relax, and contract again, quickly turn the leg over at a quick rate. The pitching delivery requires both of these, as I explained. Without the training capabilities of stiffness and reactivity at a very high velocity, like sprinting, it would be impossible to ask yourself to stop on one leg, falling down a slope with the intent to throw the ball 95 miles per hour. All right, without this stiffness and intent to throw over the front side, there's no transfer of energy that happens. All right, so instead of the lead leg block stopping the momentum of the fall down the mound for the transfer of energy, your lead leg block would continue to travel forward and no energy transfer would happen. So same thing as the slide before, right? I wanted to put some videos in here that would explain kind of the drills we use to create this stiffness and reactivity. So we can use hops, right? Double leg, forwards, backwards, lateral, and zigzag. Same thing with the single leg, right? We could do them forward, backwards, lateral, and zigzag. We can also do bounds. We can do tempo runs that creates that reactivity and stiffness. So first picture here is a picture of Jacob DeGrom, just displaying, right, that front knee leg block, the stiffness that he's creating to come over that front side and follow through.
Look at that lay back.
Okay, so here's a video of our lateral bounds, right, with a couple guys that used to train, just displaying that stiffness and the reactivity quick off the ground. Just training that aspect for our sprinting, and then same thing here. Here are some backward zigzag hops displaying the same thing, that reactivity and quickness, right, trying to create that stiffness to help us run faster and ultimately throw harder. And then one more video here is displaying one of our tempo runs. So just staying nice and loose, right? Driving the knee forward, still training that stiffness and reactivity off the ground. So moving on to number 3. The number 3 reason is the velocity aspect, right? One of Zach Dakin's favorite quotes is train fast to be fast. Right? You can't train slow to move something fast. It just doesn't happen, right? The force velocity curve, right, shows us the inverse relationship that force and velocity have. So a high force equals a low velocity, and a high velocity equals a low force. Training both sides of the curve is crucial for overall performance, right? So being maximally strong to throw a pitch is important, but in the same sense, you're asking your body to move as fast as you can down a slope, right? So we have to train fast to be able to do that at a fast pace. Asking this on the body is a lot, but this tells me if you want to move fast, we better train fast. Right, max velocity sprinting gives us that at a very, very high rate. So I just want to put a picture in here to kind of explain what I'm talking about, right? So the force velocity curve, it's giving us what exercises we can do at different points and kind of like where we're training at, right? So resisted sprinting and sprinting all the way to the right on that velocity side, right? So we can plot. If we want to train and throw really, really hard, max velocity sprinting is all the way to the right? It's a good place to be. So number 4, the posterior chain, right? The calves, hamstrings, and glutes endure maximal amounts of force when sprinting. The stiffness, right, that we talked about before, required at foot touchdown can only be taught with a sprint over any weight room exercise. So I did some research and I looked at hamstring injuries that were found in MLB and MILB from 2011 to 2016. Right, the hypothesis within the research was professional baseball players would have a heightened increase of incidence of hamstring strains from 2011 through 2016. Right, the findings that the rate of hamstrings increased in the MLB from a low of 1 injury every 39 games in 2011 to a high of 1 injury every 30 games in 2016. So what they did was they did a positional breakdown, right, to see what positionally hamstring strains were the most in. Right, what they found that pitchers led the way with 457 with 2016 from the AL and 241 from the NL. Right, with most of these injuries coming from running to first base, it shows us that the hamstring was not ready to essentially absorb the force and turn it around contextually to produce that force. Without these capabilities, it leads to potential of soft tissue injuries. Spread at high speeds to adapt the hamstring to the task and velocity you can ask it to perform. So moving on to the next thing, right? We have athleticism, sprinting. You need, right? We've all seen it. We can see people run and we can kind of tell if they're an athlete or not, right off the bat. So sprinting is nothing more than highly coordinated movements of equal opposites of every muscle in your body. Sprinting at high velocities requires a dance-like effect that needs timing and rhythm. This same timing and rhythm is the same as when we throw a pitch. Not only does maximal sprinting help you become more athletic, it also teaches you how to relax your body as well. The kinetic chain starts from the ground and works to perform the task. Any tensing at all causes a disruption in this chain and impairs energy transfer, right? So relaxation equals winning, right? We're relaxed, we can perform our task at our most potential. So I'm sure we all have seen this video of Grant Holloway I know we've probably all seen it and just thought it was really, really funny, but the display of relaxation from this is outstanding. So, right, if you were just gonna, that's not Sean.
Click the 3 little dots in the corner of the YouTube video. You see it? What?
It's loading right now.
It's going so well.
Yeah.
All downhill from here. That's the hiccup.
The video loaded before, it's not loading now.
Freaking Grant Holloway field hurdles.
Yeah. Does Grant Holloway got with the yellow shirt on in the video? Just with the really still HUD?
Yeah, we know the video you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys seen that video?
yeah.
Yeah. We'll show it to Dave
Alright.
if he hasn't seen it after.
Yeah, so right, we've all seen the video, and like if you don't know what you're looking at, it's just a funny video of a guy with a weird face, right? But the display of relaxation that he has through the hurdles is outstanding, right? That's the relaxation we need when we sprint, right? It transfers over to pitching as well. Okay, tensing up limits the transfer of energy, right? We're not throwing the balls hard. And then, let's see if I can get this one up. So the next one, right? Luis Garcia, who's a pitcher for the Astros, right? He's displaying levels of rhythm, timing, right? Same thing we need when we pitch, right? So I'm going to show this delivery.
¿Necesitas ayuda?
Eric?
Oh.
Yeah, he did.
Come on, Eric.
You just swing your keys.
No, he just waves to the camera. Gosh.
Who's going to see him Astros right now? Wait, that. He would beat us, right?
Nah. Luis Garcia's not. I don't even know if he's in the league anymore. I don't know why you chose like Luis Garcia. Sorry, Luis. If you see
His
this
delivery is unique.
go see him. If you see this,
Luciano.
rehab. What are you saying? See, it's your computer's not there.
Luis Garcia on your phone, so
I'm looking it up right now.
I'm going to score at.
Luis Garcia's the guy who
Wait, why'd you
was
say
with the
Luis?
next year, right? He's on the Astros.
Yeah.
He's on the Phillies before that, right?
But he was on the Astros like this year? Yeah, he does. Oh, yeah, he threw 2 innings against us.
He throws hard too.
He gave him an home run.
No, he was not on the Phillies.
No,
He's been on the Astros since.
No, I'm saying he
No,
gave him a
before.
run against the Phillies in the World Series.
Absolutely.
No,
you look at the wrong Luis Garcia because that one that's been on the Astros was on the Phillies.
I mean, I spelled it how that's spelled, and I'm just saying this is Luis, Luis, space Garcia.
Maybe you're thinking of the other Luis Garcia that was on the Phillies.
Is every single
There is a Luis Garcia that's on the Padres right
Luis
now.
Amado Garcia is a Dominican professional baseball player that plays for the Padres.
And he's on the Phillies before.
And the Angels, Rangers, and Cardinals. Yeah, he's 35.
Yeah, Mike's computer's not working. I'm sorry.
All right, no
We should
worries.
get your office episode.
That potato is baked.
All right, so, right, anyway, you can't see the video, but the wind-up displays a lot of rhythm. It's almost like he's doing a dance, right? Same thing we need, the relaxation, right? The rhythm, timing, we need the sprint. It's the same that transfers over to pitching as well. That's it.
It's good.
Yeah. Any questions at all?
So how do you use some of this stuff in your programming?
How would you teach the relaxation that you were just talking about?
It's just like watching it, right? I've had athletes in the past that get like real tense, like with their shoulders, like just trying to tell them to like relax. And like I show them that Grant Holloway video too. I'm like, you know, this is what we're trying to get to. The relaxation with the face, right? It's really could be funny, right? But that's where we want to be. And I just take video and then we watch it over and over again and see kind of where they're at.
I got a question for you. So you talked about when they were running the injury mechanism was running when
Yeah.
they were running the first base. So
Mhm.
obviously they don't run the first base anymore.
Yeah.
So did you read anything going through the all your research that they hurt their hamstrings when they're actually pitching?
Yeah, so I
which
didn't-
leg would
I
it be?
didn't-
Would it be their block leg, or would it be their trail leg?
So I didn't find exact research with that, but I also found another article that talked about like them getting off the mound and fielding a bunt. Right, the injuries aren't as high, right, because the intensity is not as high as running like a sprint. But it talked about them going to get a bunt, like that quick twitch that they need to have. Sprinting almost teaches that, keeps the hamstring healthy in case that does happen.
I would think hamstring strains in the pitching delivery would actually be a proximal hamstring.
Block leg.
Because of the block leg, because
Block leg.
the pelvis and it's just getting real long. The pelvis is creating like a tension in the hamstring. The way it's been.
But wouldn't
The hamstrings are so.
Yeah, wouldn't both hamstrings get real long now? Technically in the delivery, both of them would
Not so much the back one because you're always like
get. You extend.
you do.
Yeah, but it's just shortening the hamstring.
Yeah.
So the other way.
You need to get it. You need to get
With the
you need
block
to
leg,
force it to get
you're landing and stretching it because you're completely like hinging over.
Wouldn't that be the
Yeah, I didn't find any research about like the lead leg
Yeah,
bunting
because
and
you're
hamstring,
driving off the
rates
Yeah.
and anything like that.
I bet you the people that could absorb the most force
Okay.
or essentially
Rather than
create the
landing.
most force throughout their hamstring probably throw pretty hard.
And stretch.
If their pelvis can rotate really fast over their lead leg block without any injury or anything on the hamstring, I guarantee they could probably generate a lot of force to throw hard. We should check if they're out on the force plates and
Yeah,
Zach Wheeler
why
and
not?
see how they do it.
We got Nolan to get Zach Wheeler in here.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm gonna go if he doesn't know they know each other, but.
You don't think so? No.
They work together though. They're in the same company.
They have the same
They
employee.
work together.
Yeah, they do work together.
It's like Bob from Cherry Hill Apple working with Willow
I mean,
Grove.
they
Steve from Willow Grove Apple.
Steve Jobs.
They have the same job title. They're Major League Baseball players.